Since on the 40 years of practice that you have had, what are some of the most important things you've noticed about having an adequate career, and what are the few things you could advise young people to take note of as they grow in building their career? I think we have a case where we have very impatient young people right now who are on the verge of getting money right now, and there is constant need to look for shorter alternatives instead of being persistent in building a career. If you could just tell us more on how to build and structure yourself on a good career.
I think there's really nothing like a good career, because if you are looking for short-term gains, as you said, then you would go and do the kinds of things that are current, that everybody is doing. And the result is that you are going to overproduce these people. I mean, there are many unemployed people in particular fields because they were told, once you go into this career, then you're going to make money out of this.
Yes.
So careers are not only about money. There are also moral underpinnings, on this. And if you are fixated, on money, then you are not going to really make a good career even for yourself. Yeah. So careers are just what we study, things that we have to do, because this is where we learn the skills of self-expression. We learn the skill of interacting with other people. But if you are fixated on money, you are not likely, to advance as you imagine yourself. And then, of course, this leads to other problems. One of these social problems that we have is young people wanting to inherit, the properties that their parents have.
Yeah.
Why are they in a hurry? That's the question. They should work, for themselves. So if there are 20 of you in the family, and your parents have a few properties, surely, those will not be adequate, for you to live on for the rest of your life. Yeah. And then you must be socially conscious individual. That it's not about just helping yourself. It's about helping other people also. It's about enriching, the lives of other people.
Yeah. Okay. Let me ask you, Prof. In the diverse advancements in your career, what are 5 things you wish you knew when you were young?
The 5 things that I wish I knew everything. Not only those 5, yeah. But I would say I think it's important for somebody to have discipline. That is central, to any successful person. And we interpret success in much broader terms. So if you don't have discipline, then what's the difference between you and an animal? So the Freudian view, about ego and id.
Yes.
This is all about because if, for example, you are allowed to do whatever you want, you know, if you are allowed, you know, to kill whomever you want, what kind of society would this be, you know? Because as somebody, was it Hobbes, you know, said life is short, brutal, and whatever, you know, that this is the reality, yeah. So
discipline.
So we have to constrain, you know, ourselves and distinguish ourselves from animals. And the only thing, you know, is actually discipline. And once you have this discipline, then you are really set. And then respect for others. This is quite important. And respect is not only about kissing the hands, you know, of the elders. You know, it's actually more than that. It's seeking their advice.
Their advice.
Yes, because they've seen so much, you know, and no parent or responsible individual will give negative advice, you know, to even Nietzsche didn't do that, you know. I think it's quite important, you know, for the younger people, you know, to have friendly relations, you know, with the elderly, because they've seen so much, and they can smell, you know, disaster, you know, when it's just around the corner.
Yes.
You know, so ultimately, you know, everything really goes down to discipline and then disrespect. You know.
So, okay. So, in case we have, because we did a program earlier on to ask people to give me questions that they'd want me to ask you, and there's an individual that highlighted that is there a comparison between success and morality? What do you have to say about that?
I think most people interpret morality in very narrow sense. It's, you know, for most people it's about sex more than anything, you know.
Yeah.
But morality is much broader than that. You know, it's treating other people with decency. You know, that's the I think the foremost moral value. Because if we didn't respect other people, you know, in the manner that we should, then this would have been a very, very chaotic world. So I think people should re-evaluate, you know, the understanding of what morality is.
The other question we got from our audience was, when can you tell when it's the right time to advance your career?
When is the right time to advance your...
Or what are the small symptoms you could tell that you need to advance? Is it right to go for a master's program? Is it okay to add another language? What are some of the things that help you notice that you could actually advance?
I think we should be constantly learning something. Of course, you know, learning other languages is absolutely essential. Because when you learn other languages, you go into the worldview of other people, you know, of other periods. Because every generation, you know, creates its own worldview. You know, worldviews are not static. You know, so learning other languages is again, you know, one of those central aspects. And within the Islamic tradition, for example, the Prophet told the Sahaba, you know, go and learn Greek. You know, because the Greeks were the intellectual leaders at that particular time, and the Greeks were atheists. You know, they were not Christians. Yeah. or go and seek knowledge as far as China. You know, the Chinese were not Muslims, but they were at that time, you know, the most advanced civilization and culture, and we could learn so much, you know, from these. So young people, you know, should preoccupy their time doing such things, not with a view, you know, to material gain, because you just, you know, fall into the, you know, materialist mode, and then if that is your main focus, then you think, you know, everybody's fair game.
Yeah.
You know, you can't have good relations with people because they very soon find out, you know, that the only reason why you are closer to them now is because you want to take advantage of them. You know, they have something to offer.
Yes.
You know, so I think decency is, you know, is very important, and you learn for the sake of learning, you know, not for the sake of. These other things will just come, you know, and we as Muslims, or I as an individual Muslim, just believe that my sustenance, my risk, comes directly from God. It has nothing to do with me being a professor. You know, risk is, you know, the exclusive ownership, you know, by God. You know, so just try and do, you know, as best as you can. That's the most important thing, and people will soon find out, you know, how selfless you are, and they would want to help you advance, you know, because you are not selfish.
Yes.
You know, you want everybody, you know, to benefit, and you know, an enlightened society, of course, is a better society.
Yeah, great. So I think I'd love to remind the audience that the books we're actually having here are done and written by Professor Bakari. So if you could actually take us through one book you think a majority of us should know about.
This, the Morphophonology of Kenyan Swahili dialects, was actually my doctoral thesis, and because you know, when I was at the university, one of the things that were happening was the emergence of linguistics as a major intellectual area. So there were certain hypotheses that were advanced, and I used my theoretical background, you know, my understanding of, you know, different theoretical models, actually through extensive reading, because there was no text, you know, a paper or a book that was related to my area of research that I had not read. So if you look at literature review, it's not about enumerating the books, you know, it's about looking for gaps, what has not been written, what has not been understood, and that is where, you know, I was able to cover a reputation for myself, you know, because there was something called rule inversion, you know, in linguistics, and it was thought, you know, this is something that we only find in European languages, and I just stumbled into this in this African language. So I was able to use my theoretical background, you know, to draw the attention, you know, about this rare phenomenon that is found in a few languages. So that was the basis. And it was published by a German firm initially called Reimer Verlag. You know, they sold it for years, you know, and made a fortune out of this. Although they gave the copyright to themselves, you know, which is actually my, you know, this is my work. Yeah. So I've brought out this new edition, you know, and explaining, you know, the dilemma in which I found myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the exploitation, you know, by foreigners, you know, of our own local talent, you know. But that's how they've always benefited, you know, from you know, from others. Yeah. So that's the story, you know, behind this. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So apart from your own book, what is your favorite book?
That's a difficult question, but I would say there's a book called you know, Difficult Women.
I'm not recording that.
This is a portrait of very important women intellectuals. One, of course, is the controversial Germaine Greer, who wrote The Female Eunuch.
Yeah.
And the Sonia, the wife of George Orwell. Yeah. And a novelist, you know, from the Caribbean, who apparently appeared white, but in fact she had a black background, you know. So this challenges, you know, the assumption that, you know, once you are white, you know, you are white throughout, you know, Snow White. But, you know, that challenges that assumption, that there's nothing like a pure person, you know. You say, you know, I'm a pure Arab, you know, I'm a pure Japanese, you know. These are all imagined communities. Yeah. You know, they are not what they seem. You know, it's just that they accept, you know, that we are an amalgam of different kinds of peoples. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So I think we have come to the end of our interview. Thank you so much for taking time to speak to our Mali community. You're going to be talking to an outreach of around 30,000 young people, and I hope the message that you have been able to pass across will actually get to the audience. And I think I should remind Amali that you should actually get your copy of Professor Bakari's book. And most importantly, Professor Bakari's foundation is having a collective of around 3,000 books, an array of books that he has actually opened up that is easily accessible to the public. And I think this will be a very good opportunity for us to have young people get an interesting view of the types of books that we have, because as I said, 90% of this collection is not available anymore. Some of the books I've seen from Karl Marx are not available in our stores. And so this will be a good opportunity for even young researchers to participate in knowing such noble quests and noble ideas through reading. Thank you so much, Professor, and I look forward to us having more interviews with you. I would love to close our interview.
Thank you very much for having me.